Yeah.
And clearly he regrets starting the show for the prospect of an Emmy win.
Now, baby, can you feel it too?
I was directing like independent films, and he was an X Games champion, 2-time Guinness record holder, and his publicist came to me and said, I want you to meet this guy. He's super talented. He wants to get into the acting. And I was working on a film called Lights Out at the time with Sally Kirkland and Roddy Piper, which actually, I think it was Roddy Piper's last film. And then he was shadowing me, and I realized he was more than an actor. He actually had the flair to do production behind the scenes. And so we created our partnership. Soaps were the thing in the 80s. Everybody watched soaps. Everybody was creating soaps. They had, I think, maybe 15 soaps on the air in the 80s, and they had tons of primetime soaps like Dynasty. And so it was, growing up with multiple siblings that were sisters, it was always on the screen. So that's all I saw, soaps. And so I was a fan of Santa Barbara as a kid, and I created Sara, loosely based off of Kelly Capwell, who was played by Robin Wright, because I was a big Robin Wright fan. And so I created my own version of her, and I created storylines around her and family and eventually children, and just became like this library of stories that I created. And then I became a professional. I got involved in film and television, and I worked on General Hospital. On my last day there, it was Tristan Rogers, who was a big soap star. It was his first day back, and we became friends, and I started to cast him in my independent films. And one day he said, you should create a web series. It's the television of the future. And I said, I wasn't sure if it was something that I really wanted to do. But when I found out that there was a category at the Emmys for it, I said, let me give it a shot. And one day we were just brainstorming, and I didn't know what to name it. I wanted to pay homage to Another World, which was my first gig. Mm-hmm. And the name of the city was Bay City. So I knew I called the town Bay City, but I wasn't sure what to call the show. And that's when he came up with the idea. He said, well, why don't you just call it The Bay? And I said, that's perfect. Everything kind of revolves around him and Mary Beth Evans' character, Sara Garrett, who was my Kelly Capwell.
Lovely people to work with, the whole cast. I tap out partway through development in pre-production, like 2 weeks before shooting. I just tap out and just become an actor. And then afterwards, I come back and oversee post with Gregori.
If I can give any note to any actor, producer, director, I'm actually, actor-director is always tricky for me, but an actor-producer is to remember that you cannot produce when you're performing. You just can't do it because you're not going to give your best performance. You just can't. So that's one of my main things with Kristos is he knows, I don't want anyone to bother him about producing things when we're shooting because he's, like I said, he carries the show. He's the lead actor on the show, so he needs to be able to, deliver these very intense storylines without having to worry about, do we have enough craft services? So.
Yeah, he actually makes a point of it, him and Wendy. She's former executive producer of General Hospital.
When I was younger, I would watch the daytime Emmys, and I would see Wendy Rich get up on that stage and win her Emmys, year after year after year. Mm-hmm. And the show would win. It was great. Those were I think it was the best years of General Hospital, the 90s. But she inspired me. And now to be able to have her on our producing team is just amazing.
Yeah, your life has come full circle now. Yeah. It's because he had faith, really. That's what you need. Yeah. You need to know that it's going to work out and it's going to happen, and you just keep persisting and
thank you. Believe.
Going for it.
Yes.